Hey everybody, welcome to, jeez, I keep forgetting, is it set 43 now? Let's see, episode 43, it is. Amazing. I can't believe it's been that many episodes so far. So in today's episode I wanted to talk about, I'm in a 70s kick all of a sudden, so I'm going to go back to the 70s again. I talked about Micronauts last video, but this video I want to talk about another big thing from the 70s, science fiction wise, and as far as multimedia and big property, was Battlestar Galactica. I'll hold up the storybook here. Battlestar Galactica, I said it was 1978, I believe. It was the year the Star Wars figures came out. Obviously, you probably know about Battlestar Galactica. They were trying to cash in on the whole Star Wars craze. And I'm not going to get into that whole craziness, but I want to talk about stuff, related to me personally with Battlestar Galactica. First and foremost, I believe it was 1978, my birthday of 1978, so this would have been before I even went into kindergarten, or, I can't remember. I can't exactly remember, but I know I went and saw the movie, because it was a theatrical release, the original movie, and we went to it on the North Hill Cinema. If you're from Rochester in Michigan and you know about the North Hill Cinema, and you know about the controversy behind North Hill Cinema, which I won't get into that either, but if you know that cinema, they used to play movies, first-run movies there in the 70s, kind of got a little crazy. My dad was involved. My friend's parents were involved with a kind of a big thing that kind of happened shortly thereafter. But again, look it up. I don't know if it's online or whatever. I don't want to get into that story. But anyway, so we went to see the movie there, and I believe it was a birthday for me, and my dad took a few of my friends. That's how I recollect it. I don't think it was Buck Rogers, because I remember seeing Buck Rogers down at the Hills Theater with our friends of the family, the ones at the pool, the rich ones. But I did see it in the movie theater, and then of course I remember this vividly, and I don't know why the console television plays into this. Something must have been going on with the TV, or I was just or I was watching a commercial or something. I don't remember. But I just remember standing in the living room of the house on Winry, and my sister being there, and she's saying, "Oh, the Battlestar Galactica movie? They're making it a TV show, and it's starting in the fall." I went, "What?" I was like, "Oh, that's neat. I can't wait till that starts." And of course, once it did start, everybody kind of tuned in. I think they replayed the movie in I don't know if they played it all at once, or they played it in segments, or it's a two-parter, or however they worked that. I can't remember how that originally aired, but I remember seeing it on there. In the late 70s, primetime TV was big in our household, and it probably was in your household too. I mean, everybody used to tune in to watch Dallas. Everybody used to tune in to watch The Love Boat. I love The Love Boat. I still got to find Love Boat. I've seen some episodes, but I want to watch more of The Love Boat on TV or something. I think I saw it at a Cracker Barrel once. They had a complete box set of The Love Boat. It's not on any of the streaming stations, which is weird. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you find it somewhere, let me know. Anyways, but yeah, Love Boat was big. Fantasy Island, Battle of the Network Stars, that was huge. It just seemed like primetime TV in the late 70s. And of course, it also in the 80s as well, but I just remember the late 70s was pretty heavy with when we used to tune in. We'd go wherever we went, whether it was Lakeside Mall, went up to Meadowbrook Mall, we went wherever. It was on the weekends. It was usually a priority to hurry up and get done whatever we're going to do. We're eating out, at the Sweden House. I don't know if anybody remembers the Sweden House on Van Dyke, or go up to the Ponderosa. Back when the Ponderosa used to be, that was living. You were high on the hog eating at Ponderosa, getting that T-bone steak, and then getting that the Jello tilt thing that they used to have. and getting one, hurry up and getting one on your tray before your mom catches you, and then when you get to the end of the line, your mom gives you that look, oh, you got one of those. For some reason, that was like it was an evil thing for us to get a whipped cream Jello dessert, which I'd usually eat before my T-bone steak came. But anyways, we made it a priority to get home on the weekends to watch primetime TV, and I would usually fall asleep on Friday nights to Fantasy Island. I'd make it through Love Boat, and then I'd fall asleep, in the middle of Fantasy Island. Not that necessarily it was boring. I didn't really understand what the show was about as a kid, but I think it was on too late. It was like, it started at 9, finished at 10, and I was out. I fell asleep on the shag carpeting on the floor, my parents my dad would scoop me up and throw me in the bed, and I'd wake up, Saturday morning for cartoons, not knowing how I got there, like I was in a drunken stupor. But anyways, but yeah, so they aired, Battlestar Galactica, and eventually Buck Rogers too. That was big. But we watched Buck Rogers, every night that it was on. The whole family would, my sister, my dad, my mom, and I, we'd all sit down. And I just remember so many vivid things about that show, sit down, red eye. I remember the episode, the Old West episode where one of the Cylons was, he was, he was like a gunslinger. I think it was Apollo who goes down to this planet. I think there's something wrong with his Viper, and he goes down there. But yeah, so many of those episodes, the episode where they're all like, the ship's on fire, that was like a crazy episode. That actually scared me as a kid. Because they were like, oh, we got so many rooms, and it's like everybody's like smoky, and everybody's like passing out from the smoke. And I remember my mom saying, oh, the smoke kills you before the fire does. And I was just like, I got scared watching that episode. I try to think of some of the other ones that kind of ring a bell. Of course, in the original movie, the weird singing ladies with the 2 mouths and the 4 eyes and the giant fro. They were very weird looking. They give me nightmares too. A lot of things about Battlestar Galactica gave me nightmares. Sure, there was weird creatures in the cantina in Star Wars, but I think the 2 movies that gave me the most nightmares was Battlestar Galactica, especially when the bug people are the insectoids, whatever they're called, I can't remember what they're called, insectons. Who, they're like eating the people, they're like cocooning them to eat them. That was scary. The 4-eyed 4-eyed mouth crazy lady, that was scary. And then what was the other thing that scared me? Star Trek, the motion picture, that scared me. There's a couple of aliens that I still have, like, when I see them, it just totally rocks me to, like, nightmares I had as a kid. But anyways, stay on track with Battlestar Galactica. So, yeah, and when the toys eventually came out, I got them. I really wanted the ships, the little ships, and I don't know why they didn't make the ships in scale with the action figures. That was weird. But I had the ships, and if you ever watch Retro Blasting, he was doing a review on the guy who was 3D printing, like, he upscales those original toys to the action figures, and then he makes like a Cylon, a custom Cylon that'll fit in it. I'm not gonna buy any of that stuff, but I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I really wanted the ships. I wanted the figures too. And Cylons, sure, the Stormtroopers were cool. White and black, they're pretty neat looking. But when the Cylons, oh my god, it was a whole nother level. All shiny chrome, and I specifically love it when they did the weird camera lens effect. I don't know what filter they used on their camera or how they did that, but if you have squint at like oncoming traffic lights or oncoming car lights, and they get like that star, like cascading. I don't know if cascading's the right word, but like this weird star look. Back in the 70s, it seemed like that was like big. Like I don't know what they did with the filters of the camera, or how they got that, but it's very 70s and in very early 80s to see like shiny things with that like starring light coming off of it. For some reason I loved that. But there's lots of scenes with the Cylons, and they had that starry light thing. I think I have an example here I'm going to show you in a minute when I go to the folder, my 70s folder. But Yeah. And I also want to talk about, it's really goofy too, is they had this, General Mills had this promotion that they were running for Battlestar Galactica. I don't know if anybody remembers this. And they had, you could get, you had to send away, like, I think it was like $1.50 and like a proof of purchase or something like that from the, or like this order form card on the back of the box of, like Frankenberry or whatever, or Captain Crunch. Not Captain Crunch. I think yeah, Captain Crunch. I just remember it specifically from like the Count Chocula and the Monster cereal. But you sent it away, and they gave you this thing. I think it was called this. I got it in the files here. I'll look it up here. Well, I'll show you. I think it was called like the Space Station set or kit or something like that. And it was the goofiest thing in the world. It was like all paper. It came in this big manila envelope, and you folded you unfolded everything and put things together. It was all like paper craft, and it was supposed to be I don't know if it was supposed to be like a control panel from the Galactica. I always thought it was supposed to be the cockpit of one of the Vipers, and I'll show you some pictures of the cockpit of the Vipers and show you it looks nothing like that. But that's what I kind of thought it was, so that's what I kind of played with it as. And it was like life size. He folded this whole thing as green and had all these, it was very like, opaque, primary and secondary colors. Like it wasn't, accurate at all. But they came with this thing, and it was just like weirdest thing. It also came with a bunch of iron-ons that you could iron on, your iron-ons. They gave you stickers. I remember the ship stickers I ended up putting on the headboard of my twin bed in my bedroom when I was a kid. And I remember trying to, sitting there on the phone or something as a kid and peeling. They'd start curling, and I'd start peeling them off, so they get this half ripped off, Colonial Vipers or Cylon Centaur or Cylon Raider, sticker on the headboard of this bed. Of course, my mom was angry that I did this. But I had a really weird bedroom in that house. I mean, there's just really strange things. I had Star Wars bed sheets, Star Wars a Battlestar Galactica. I had a Battlestar Galactica blanket, Star Wars bed sheets. My mom thought it was really cool to wallpaper the whole bedroom with this like old vintage newspaper wallpaper. You've probably seen it, which is totally like gaudy and insane. And then I remember they took the carpet up, and they were going to go hardwood floor, and I begged them I wanted carpet. To this day, I know hardwood. If you're rich and fancy, you have a hardwood floor, but I personally can't stand hardwood floors. I love carpet. I don't care if it's Burberry carpet, shag carpet, old carpet, crappy carpet. I don't like to keep carpets clean. That's one thing I do hate about it, but I just love the feel of carpeting. I don't like hardwood floors, and I hate like walking with shoes on hardwood floors and the clickety-clack. And it seems like every time you're on the phone or on like a Skype call or Discord with somebody who's in a hardwood floor house, it's just so echoey. And like every time somebody talks, it's loud. And you drop anything, it's loud. And I don't like loud noises. I like everything to be muffled and quiet and soft. And feel good on my feet. Make fists with your toes, as John McClane says, or the guy told John McClane, Die Hard. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting off tangent again. But yeah, so Battlestar Galactica was huge for me as a kid. It was, it hit, all that stuff hit right at the perfect time. I was just that age where everything hit us. Like, it was just like a 1-2 punch. Boom! Micronauts. Boom! Shogun Warriors. Boom! Star Wars. Boom! Battlestar Galactica. It was just one after another. You're just bombarded with all this insane, shit, that kids would like, especially young boys. This is all over the place. So let's get into the stuff that I want to get into today. I have the storybook in my hand. This is not, I don't think I had a hard, I think I had the soft cover of this as a kid, because I got it through that Scholastic's book drive or book thing, whatever that was, at elementary school. But I ordered this, and it said it was in very good condition. I ordered it from Amazon. This is about 10 years ago I ordered this. And when it came, it would have been in very good condition, except for some reason, I don't know what they did, but the envelope that it was in, which was a bubble envelope with the manila folder on the outside, somebody must have scraped it across the ground because the envelope was torn open, and then the bottom of the book was all jacked up. I think I complained to Amazon, and I think they refunded my money or something like that, and then I got to keep the book. That's usually the par for the course how they do that. So I got the book for free, essentially. But yeah, I mean, it's the storybook. And again, going back to this, I mean, this is the one nice thing, though, of Battlestar Galactica. And this is what, even though Star Wars obviously is immensely better, and Battlestar Galactica is not necessarily a ripoff, but it's definitely a derivative of it, is when like I was always saying, when you saw Star Wars, that was it. You saw it, and you weren't going to see it again until, fast forward into the future with videotapes and cable. So, storybooks like this, is the only way, collecting cards, anything with visuals of the movie is the only way to see the scenes again. Magazines. The nice thing with Battlestar Galactica, though, is it was a TV show. And at least once a week for a good hour, you got to see Battlestar Galactica. And that was huge. I mean, that's something, I don't think people think about that much. But I mean, yeah, sure, Star Wars is better. Star Wars was the big thing. Battlestar Galactica obviously didn't, it didn't really survive the 70s, until they brought it, I'll get into that remake thing later, but yeah, the one thing that it had going over Star Wars was that you could watch it, every week. And that, like I said, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, they kept it, I'm surprised it didn't last, but obviously I think the show is canceled. I think their official thing was that the ratings were good. I think what happened was the show was, they're spending $1 million, and at the time it was a lot of money. They're spending $1 million an episode. So the budget's just way too expensive on something like this. I mean, trying to make something on par with Star Wars for an hour a week, I just don't think it wasn't paying off. I think it was more expensive than the money they were making on it, so they ended up canceling it. I mean, it lasted a bunch of episodes, because obviously when they did, Galactica 1980, and that was terrible. I mean, it's like they took place on Earth. It's like they really tried everything they could do to cut all their production costs down. I mean, they couldn't maintain that first season like they did. Yeah, so I know you guys can't see this very well, and I don't have a PDF or anything of it, but this isn't really the focus. I'm going to turn the focus. I'm just kind of showing you what the inside of a storybook looks like. But yeah, I mean, I loved this as a kid. I'd get my dad would read the Star Wars one to me, he'd read the Battlestar Galactica one to me, And then one thing I didn't have as a kid that I eventually got later on, and then I never read it, and then I finally ended up, this is when I got this 10 years ago, I ordered the hardcover of the novelization, which was Glenn Larson. Alan Dean Foster did a lot, but Glenn Larson did the novelization. Just that slipcover is just awesome. Just the movie poster. I just love that. I mean, I don't know, they did something weird with the storybook that was just kind of sort of like it, but I don't know why. Maybe they didn't want to have all the people running or something, because they thought that was too not for kids. I don't know why they did that, but anyways, that's pretty much the poster. And and so I ended up finally reading it 10 years ago. Finally said, I'm going to sit down and read this. And I was reading the hardcover, and I also bought the soft cover, because it was I think this was $5, and I got the soft cover for I think it was more money to ship it at $3.99 than it was. It was $2.50 or something. So it was $6 or $7 for the soft cover. But you know what? Some dirty rat at our local McDonald's around the corner, I went there one night with my son when he was younger, and he wanted to play in the play place. So I took the softcover book. Luckily, I didn't take this one. I took the softcover book with me to McDonald's, And I sat in the play place when my son played, and I sat there and was trying to read the book, the softcover version. And he was on the play place. I had to pee, so I got up to pee. I told him, hey, I'm going to be back in a few minutes. I'm going to go pee. I went to pee. I came back. The book was gone. And I said to the employees, I said, hey, did you guys clean off that? Because the wrapper. Actually, I think the wrappers and stuff were cleaned up by the time. But my pop and my coat and everything it was in the winter, was still there at the seat. And, so I would think if the person came along and thought I left, although my coat's still there, my pop's sitting there. I didn't have my phone sitting there, but you would think that somebody would come along and if they they're going to throw away this book. That'd be weird. Do you think they put it in the lost and found or something if they found something like that? So apparently it wasn't, because I went and asked them and nobody was like, no, we didn't touch any, we didn't see any book, we didn't clean off your table. So some person, and this would have been like, I don't think there was any dudes in there. It was mostly all moms, like 30-something-year-old moms in this play place. And there may have been two, and I don't think any of the kids would have taken it. They were too busy playing on the thing, because I came back and the kid would have had it in his hand. The kid would have, he would have taken it, and he would have been rocking around with it. The mom would have been like, hey, where did you get that? I mean, you would think that would happen, but no. One of these mothers must have seen me reading it, must have recognized it and said, oh, that's an old paperback book, and stole it. Isn't that crazy? It's just weird. It's like, seriously? That's so weird to have happen. So I don't have the softcover anymore. Somebody stole it. I just think that's the weirdest thing. It kind of bothers me. At the same time, it's just I'm more perplexed. It's not like, I don't know. It's not like I'm reading, 50 Shades of Grey or some Harlequin romance novel. Some, middle-aged housewife is like, oh, I've got to steal that from that guy. It's Battlestar Galactica. It was a book, a novelization from 1978 or 79 or whenever they published that. Let's find out. I think it's 78. 78, yeah. This is the first printing too. I'm glad they didn't get this. So those are my only two Battlestar things I have. I actually don't own the movie or the TV shows on Blu-ray or DVD. I was going to get them, but I didn't end up getting them. You could watch them on Tubi. They're all on Tubi and whatnot, so I just watch them there. But eventually they'll pull them off there, and I'd like to watch them again. I watched them actually like a year ago. I was watching them again. Yeah, so I don't really have much else Battlestar Galactica related left. I'll get to one thing that I'm showing you here that I'm curious about, but I'm not going to pull the trigger because I sense it's way too much money. So let me skip over to my folder of 70s stuff, specifically I got this under 1979. There's the poster there. But I think it's easier. I'm trying to get big photographs. Sorry if they're small, but I think this is better because you can see me, you can see all the files, and then the preview pane. You can see that pretty decently sized. It's easier than cutting back to the other application. So there's the movie poster. And then, so here's this, okay, so that thing I was talking about. So it says right here, General Mills, direct to you from our friends at General Mills, your official Battlestar Galactica space station kit. Do not bend. So it came like this, and this is the content. Sorry, this is a small. I thought this was a bigger picture. This is the content. So there it is up in the corner here. That's the same one. All right, no, don't need the extra file there. Here was the ad. Here's on the back of Boo Berry cereal. Actually, Boo Berry was my favorite. That's the one I used to get. It was also harder to find. But yeah, it's like free Battlestar 21-piece kit with 5 Battlestar Galactica proofs of purchase seals. Also, well, you didn't have to pay money. You just send away the 5 proofs from 5 boxes of cereal, and you got this. And then, like I said here, it gave you. I think those are the iron-ons. Or no, that was the sticker. I thought there was another sticker. I know there's the ship, but I thought there was a Centurion sticker. Oh, maybe I got the stickers from something else. I definitely remember my mom trying to do the iron-ons, and they just didn't work. It was just like this... No, actually, no, I take that back. That was something else we tried to do with the iron-ons, and those did work. No, these worked. She put these on just some Fruit of the Loom, white T-shirts. I think I've got the Cylon on one of them, and then I think we put Muffet on the other one. And they give it like this Colonia or the Galactica patch or whatever. All this little goofy stuff that they throw in there. I'm trying to. I guess I don't have a bigger picture of it. Let's blow it up just so you can see it. So here's the stuff that came with it. So yeah, you had this weird. I don't know what this was. Like a placemat or something. Yeah, these pieces and stuff all went to this thing. This thing all folded together. I don't know what these almost look like pieces from Twilight Imperium, the board game. It's weird. But I don't think everything's here. I think those might be the iron-ons back there on those sheets, like transfer sheets. I don't know if it was a manual. It was this Space Galactica manual or something, how to pilot the ship. So, Battlestar Galactica. So, I don't think this was... I think this was supposed to be a... I think it was supposed to be a piece from the ship, like a control... But see, look, they got this, like, little steering wheel thing on there, which had nothing to do with... so, this is the... Gotta blow this one up. This is the... that's the prop. The ones that they would sit in from the show. So, obviously... It doesn't look anything like what the cockpit was supposed to look like of the Viper. Thought I had another good picture of it. That's kind of a picture. I mean, I guess that little screen sort of resembles it a bit, but not really. I don't know. That's what I thought, because I had the steering wheel thing. I thought that's what it was. And then, so that's the storybook that I have, which is right here. So do I have a picture of that's the book I have. Oh, yeah, here it is. So there was the paperback, just like that, just sitting like that on a table at McDonald's, and somebody came by and swiped it. It's perplexing. But let's get into the good stuff. So, first off, this is also very weird. I thought these pictures are bigger. That a colonial warrior, which is just some dude. He looks, it's like almost like a Doc Savage or some kind of 70s action man, which is probably all this dude was. He was probably some, GI, prototype for some other thing, and they just used him as the colonial Viper, or a colonial warrior, because it wasn't Starbuck and it wasn't Apollo. I never had him. I didn't want him. But I did want the Cylon. Even, the Cylon looked cool, but it didn't look anything like the Cylon from the TV show or the movie. And it's just like, it was part of the Cylon, but he was in this all black outfit. I think he did light up. I think he put a battery in him, and he did light up red, which is kind of cool, very ROM-esque. And I think you looked through the back of his head, and he had I think that was a Steve Austin figure. I thought you looked at the back of his head and you could see through his eye or something weird like that. And another picture of him here. There's a. It's just what? It's like what? It's the 70s. I mean, that's what they do. It's just like, hey, we've got this doll body, and it might even have been the same body as the colonial warrior, and they just tooled this part and slapped it on. Who knows? I just thought it was weird as a kid. So that's getting into the toys. Now here there's the Lorne Green, Commander Adama. What's it called? Commander Adala, but that's Princess Adala from Buck Rogers. Yeah, there's the... Oh, God. As soon as I saw it, I had to have him. And I remember, I would say all of these I got specifically at that Kresge's I was talking about over there in north of Rochester at the North Hill Shopping Center. And I remember this pretty vividly. I remember being there with my grandma. Oh, there's another place. There's the D&C downtown Rochester too. I think I might have got one there too. But I remember it was with my grandma, and my mom was there too. And I remember coming up to my grandma, because my mom was always, oh, we can't get that, it's like, I don't want to buy that. But my grandma was always like, oh, what do you got, Timmy? So I'm doing the voices. So she would come up and she'd say, what do you got in your hand? What do you want? And I said, Mama, or Grandma, I want these toys, these figures. I want these figures. And she's like, oh, you can get 2 of them, but you can't get all of them. And I was like, oh, which ones to get? Jeez, they had them all. I think I ended up getting the Cylon and this guy here. Ovion, or that's what they're called, the Ovions. Ended up getting the Ovion. Yeah, this is a pancake head. I remember he's just like that. I was talking about those Micronauts guys, like Membros. He was very Membros. So I didn't get into the humans there then. I ended up getting, I think my dad got me Starbuck and Adama. Never had an Apollo figure, which is weird. And then I remember getting him somewhere, and I didn't really want him because I didn't know who he was. I didn't realize that the Imperious leader guy that was like sitting way up in that thing. I didn't understand that. Like, is this what Cylons look like? Are they these creatures? Again, what's with the froze back then? Everything had a fro back then. Even if it's a purple alien fro, they still had froze. And then, see, my mom was always like, oh, Timmy really likes that Muffet and Boxy, which Boxy was the little boy. I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, my mom kept pushing the stupid robot dog, bear, whatever the heck this thing is, and pushing they got a monkey in it too, which is weird. And the kid, oh, he really likes the kid and the dog. No, I don't, Mom. It's like, do you have any idea? She still to this day doesn't know what I really like. She just makes assumptions of what I like in her head, and never mention anything to my mom. Well, she's still alive, but she's not in the best faculties anymore. But after a time, you didn't want to mention that you liked anything to my mom. Even vaguely hinted that you liked anything, because every birthday and Christmas, that's all you got. I mentioned I liked leopard print, and the only reason I mentioned that was because my girlfriend had a leopard print thong, and I made a comment, oh, I like that leopard print. She didn't know what I was referring to, and of course I got slapped by my girlfriend. She's like, shut up. And then my mom, oh, he likes leopard print. And then suddenly my mom just buying leopard print everything, and I was like, I still have, and so did her mom, my girlfriend's mom. Same thing. I mentioned leopard print on accident once, and I got slapped again. And then she owned a interior decorating store, and she ended up giving me this really expensive chenille leopard print throw thing for like a couch or whatever. I got it still sitting on my couch outside in my living room there. I still kept it to this day because it was expensive. I think she was probably selling it for like $200 for this blanket. She just gave it to me for a birthday present or something. She goes, oh, I know you like that. I think I was eyeballing it too. I think I was making a comment about I wanted to see your daughter, in the thong on that. But anyways, so where was I? Yeah, don't say anything to my mom about things that you like. And then when it comes to things that you really like, she always thought, that I was into something that I wasn't. I was into the Cylons. And for the most part, I was into the Cylons and, what's her face? What the hell's her name? Her name totally just... Athena was her in the show. Adama's daughter, Athena. Was it Mara Jensen? Mara Jensen? Or Maya Jensen? I think it was Mara Jensen. I can't remember what her name is, but... Oh, Athena. Oh, I was obsessed with Athena. I was just in love with her. I didn't even... Jane Seymour was in that first movie. And then there was Cassiopeia, and there was... who was the blonde that everybody went nuts over? The blonde Starbucks girlfriend. I didn't care for her. Athena was the girl I liked. I was obsessed with her. She was one of the... Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, Athena, Batgirl in the 70s. Oh, of course, Batman's from the 60s, but I watched it in reruns in the 70s. But I had like about a handful of crushes on girls that I really liked, older women at the time. And Athena was one of them. Of course, everybody loved Wilma Deering from Battlestar, or from Buck Rogers. I did too as well. Although I did like Queen Adala too. But Jensen Mara, she had a weird name. It's not Mara. I can't remember what her name is. It's not really super important. But anyways, so yeah. So I had the figures. I think I got pictures here. A little bit better pictures of the toys. If you look at them real close too, I mean, these were. It didn't take much as a kid. There's no articulation. His legs didn't even bend. I think his waist turned back and forth. You didn't need much as a kid for your imagination to kick in. This is all you needed. When he was brand new and shiny, and chromed, vac metallized or whatever it is, that was it. That was Starbuck. I mean, he looks like the Elephant Man. I mean, he's just a lump of. He's like a burn victim. But that's all you needed. Same thing with Star Wars figures. This is all you needed for your imagination. It just had to be a vague representation of the toys. I mean, some of these are better than others, but vague representations of the people. And then when it came to the ships, so there was a not a fiasco, but there was a thing with the ships. $4.90 at Toys R Us. So these ships came out, right? And they had these little pilots in here, and I'll get to the Cylon and why this is relevant. But these ships came out, and I was with my dad, and I was like, Dad, there's the ships, can I get one? I really wanted the Cylon Raider, but all they had, I think, at the time was the Viper. So I got the Viper, and I liked it. And I think mine had a firing missile. This, everybody knows about the thing that went down with the Boba Fett, rocket firing Boba Fett, mail away back then. How it never fired, and the reason why they couldn't have firing stuff was because some kid, I think it was one of these ships, I think it was the Viper, the one brother shot it into the other his brother's mouth, and he choked on it and died. So this was what they're talking about in that controversy. But mine fired. I eventually got the Cylon Raider. It fired too. See, that's why this is hard to go back and forth with this. Here's the Cylon Raider. So now with the Cylon Raider, that's a tiny picture. Got a better picture, I think. Well, there it is with, okay, so this is relevant too. So this is the little pilot. Here's the missiles too that fired out of it. You had to pull the wings out to fire it. This is what I wanted the most. I thought this thing was the coolest looking thing in the world, and I thought they were the coolest looking thing in the world. And so I had a friend from around the block who was in kindergarten with me, and he came over and he had this. And I said, "Oh, bring your Battlestar Galactica toys." So he had the Raider, I had the Viper. We swapped. He wanted to play with mine, I wanted to play with his. That doesn't sound right. Anyways, so I was running around the house playing with the Cylon Raider, and then it's like I got really jealous, and so this is one of the weird things that I would do as a kid. So we had the couches had the skirting on the bottom, so you could actually they had about maybe 6 inches underneath the couch. So your mom would put stuff whatever. She'd roll up placemats and runners and tablecloths, and she would store them underneath the couches. So I was in the living room there playing with this, and I took the little Cylon guy and I put him underneath the couch, and then I went back to playing with the thing. And then I remember his mom came to pick him up and said, "Oh, we gotta go." And he was like, "Oh, here's your ship back." I handed it to him, and he was just about to leave, and he ended up looking in it, and he says, "Oh, where's the guy?" And I go, "Oh, he's not in there?" And they're like, "No." And the kid instantly knew. We had a falling out in kindergarten. I remember he got really angry at me, and he brought up this as one of the things why he didn't want to be friends with me ever again. And he said to me, he goes, he instantly knew. He says, you're trying to steal it. You hit it. And I was like, no, I didn't. I'm playing dumb. And then my mom, she turns around and gives me that mom look. And I knew I was done. And, I mean, everybody's staring at me. I'm just laying on the floor, like, and I go, let me see if I can find it. And I go, oh, I found it. It's right here. It's underneath the couch. And my mom's like, you know where it was. You hid it under there. I got in trouble. I got my ass beat. And it was all blah, blah, blah. And so all over this stupid little guy here. Let me show you how terrible this thing looks. This is what caused all that stress and emotional scarring was this. It didn't even look like a Cylon. It looked like, I don't even know what it looked like. All over that little thing. So that's my story on that one. Here's the big Marvel Super Special. This was like a giant oversized comic book. I had it. I think I got it. Again, I think I got it at Chatham. For some reason, that whole stack of these at Chatham grocery store, and ended up getting that. I think my grandma ended up getting me that. Oh, Timmy wants that big book. I have to go get. She thought it was a coloring book. Oh, I want that big coloring book. It's not a coloring book, Grandma, but yeah, I want it. So I ended up getting that. This I think was the. So that was the full size one, or the one that I showed you. This was. I think they had it in a magazine size too, an 8.5 by 11, regular magazine size, and that was the magazine version of it. I don't think that's the, because it's got two staples in it. This big one, I think, was square bound. I think I'm pretty much sure it was square bound, because I remember the Star Wars one too. But I had that guy. Now the neighbor down the street, he had. And I was like, what is that? I didn't know it existed. He had this. He had the monogram Colonial base model. And he didn't paint it. He just glued it together. And it was sitting... It was an older brother. It was, you had like us who were like, whatever at the time, 5. And this brother was probably like 12 or 13. Or maybe not even that. About 12. And the older brother, and he was like, oh yeah, this is the Cylon base star, And they're always, it seems like all the older brothers, just like the smart rich kids, they're always very like, oh, well, it's like, they're like old stuffy, like poncy, creepy British men, you know what I mean? It's like, that's how I just envision them talking every time they always talk down to you too. Oh, these aren't toys, these are model kits. You buy them at a hobby shop. And blah, blah, blah. Oh, God. Sorry. It's an uppercut. Anyways, so yeah, that kid had this thing, and I was like, I want that. And it's like, and then I saw, oh, there's a Battlestar. I wanted that. And they weren't in scale with the ships, but then I remember I ended up getting the model of the Viper, and then, of course, I got the model of the, I eventually got my way. I got the model of the Cylon Raider, which I don't have a picture of it. Yeah, the Cylon Raider. And again, we didn't paint these. I mean, I didn't. My parents. I tried. Okay, here. I had the Hatchet Fighter from Buck Rogers, which I think also was It was either Monogram or Revell. Can't remember which one. They weren't the same company at the time. They eventually merged. It could have been an AMT kit, I can't remember, but the kit with the Hatchet Fighter, which is the bad guy, the Draconian ships, fighters from Buck Rogers, I had that, and I'll probably get into the story. I'll probably tell the story again when I do the Buck Rogers version of this video, but yeah, I had the Hatchet Fighter, and my grandma, I remember I opened it up in the car, at my mom's friend's car, which you never should do. I mean, with the action figures to do all the times, rip it open as soon as you get in the car. But I opened up this model kit because I had to see inside. And of course, when you were a kid and you looked at a model kit in the box, you opened it up and you went, what's this? Do I have to build this? That's the whole point of a model kit. I'm part of a model kit. Anyways, so yeah, and then I said, oh, I should paint this. And for some reason I thought it was gold. Even though it was more like a rust color, and it was modeled in that color. You didn't really need to paint it. You shoot it with some dull coat or something. You just put it together. But I was like, I'm going to paint it gold. So I bought 1 jar of Tester's Gloss metallic gold paint, which I don't know if you've ever used Tester's. It was an enamel paint. You needed thinner to clean the brushes. And I didn't, even that white piece of garbage that they give you as a brush, I didn't even have that. I just had the paint. I took it over to my grandma's house. It's sitting in her dining room on the dining room table. I said, Grandma, I want to paint this. Or do you have any brushes? And I go, no. She goes, use a toothpick. She handed me a toothpick. And I proceeded for I don't know how long after that to sit there and dip a gob of paint out of this little bottle, slap it on this model kit, and push it around with a toothpick and try to paint this thing. I mean, talk about an exercise in futility. You should have seen. I think my dad came to pick me up because I was at my grandma's house for a little while they were running around. My dad came to pick me up and saw what I was doing, and he was just like, what the hell are you doing? Painting a model kit with a toothpick? Yeah, my grandma's like going, well, I told him he could try to use that toothpick. I don't know if you're getting a good picture of these scenarios, but this is how it was as a kid. And my dad's just shaking his head. He's like, just clean that crap up and let's go. So anyways, there was that. I don't want to keep going here too long. I did have the board game. It was one of those classic, gifts. Parents get you a board game. Hey, let's play board games. Get them Battlestar Galactica. I had the board game. And I remember the Star Wars board game more than this one. I remember this one just because I had the little ships. The big board game, and I'll get to it in my Kiss video, was the Kiss board game. That's the one I really liked, and I'll tell you why when I get to that video. I won't ruin that story. Be a little components. I always had these spinners. Instead of dice, you use these spinners. But the other thing that they had was the Topps trading cards. And like I said, I was obsessed with Topps trading cards. And that was a good time to mention, I think I mentioned it before, but that antique shop downtown Bay City, the guy in the toy section, he has a glass case, and it's filled with sealed boxes like this, sealed, of Topps trading cards of non-sports related cards. He's got these, he's got Three's Company. He doesn't have Tron. I looked again. He doesn't have Tron, and he doesn't have any Star Wars ones. He's got a couple of packs of Star Wars ones, but no big boxes. He's got Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, and I want to say like Welcome Back Kotter or something like that in there. He's got about 20 boxes all stacked up in this glass case, and they're all factory sealed. And like I said, I've been meaning to ask what he wants for one of these boxes, because if you get one of these boxes, there's a good chance. There are like 50 cards in the set. You'll get every card and a lot of doubles, but he wants like $8-10 a pack for like some of the individual packs of other cards. I'd hate to see what he want for this, and he doesn't ever seem to want to come down on his stuff. And it's like, I bet you each one of these boxes is easily, how many packs are in this? I think it's like 45 packs or something like that in these cards. He probably wants like $500 for each one of these boxes, and he's out of his fucking mind if he's going to get this from me, or anybody. So I'd offer him tops, no pun intended, $50 maybe. I don't even want to go that high, like 40. I'd be happy if I got away with $25. I'm not spending insano prices, but this guy's just nuts on his prices, and he seldomly ever wants to come down on any of this stuff. I've been going down there with my son, and it's fun, but they're a bunch of jackasses down there, and they're just like the guy, the elder kids, they're so like snooty and full of themselves down there, and we've got such gold here, it's worth so much money, blah 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 blah. It's just like, come on, dude. It's like, I got cash in hand. I'll give you. I've seen the same 50 boxes are sitting here that you're not selling. So here's, $50. Cash in hand, cash money, as my one relative would say. But yeah, like I said, I don't have to have these. I would like to have them. Again, I can go on that website, and they've got high resolution scans of both sides of these, and I could just get some card stock and use my printer, and I can just make the cards myself if I really wanted the trading cards. I mean, it's not the same thing as having the originals. They don't smell like the gum that would kill you if you ate now today, being it's like over 40 years old. But the stickers probably don't stick anymore. But yeah, I don't know. They're not worth that much money to me, so I'm probably not going to budge on that stuff. Boy, there it is. There it was. I did have a photograph of it. Okay. All right, we're coming into the final stretch here. So, the last couple of things I want to mention is these things, they had these weird, I don't know what they were. They were not in the show. This thing was in the show. That's a tiny picture of this rover thing. That's the one they come and they save all the people from the Ovions at the casino planet thing. But where was I? I just missed it. Oh yeah, these things. I don't know what the heck these things are supposed to be. I remember a neighbor had this one. And like they had like all their games in like this cabinet in their like family room. And they had the box to this, and it was inside there. And it looks like nobody ever... They took it out of the box once and put it back in there and never touched it. Nobody wanted to play with it. But I used to pull it out of there and ask them if I could play with it. But the other thing I wanted to mention was this. Now, this is not Battlestar Galactica. However, I was at Kmart in Rochester, and I was there with, I want to say it was my Uncle Bob, and, he wasn't going to buy me anything, toys and stuff like that, but I still wanted to look at the toys and everything and see if there's something I wanted, then I'd come back and drag my dad and make him buy it. But we were there, and they had this thing, and my uncle's like, "What's this thing?" And I said, that's a Cylon helmet. It's purple. I don't understand how purple in chrome in my head for some reason are the same thing. But it was purple. It said gore on it. I wonder if he's an outlaw of gore from the gore world of John Norman. Anyways, it sort of looked like a Cylon, sort of. But you put this helmet on, and you could see at the visor, it was just like tinted like sunglasses. But it was battery powered, and when you spoke, it would make you have the Cylon voice, at least a close facsimile of the Cylon's voice, the electric space voice, robot spaceman with electric space voice. And so for the longest time in my head, until I found this picture, the longest time I could have sworn it was licensed Battlestar Galactica product, but obviously it wasn't. And there was another helmet that I had for a while too as a kid, a spaceman helmet that I loved. I got a story with that one with my mother again. But anyways, I wanted this thing, and my uncle was like, "This is pretty neat." They had like batteries in this, you could use it. They had like one out of the box at Kmart, which is weird. They used to do stuff like that back then. Kmart's gone now, so. But anyways, but yeah, a lot of toy stores would open toys and have it open so you could play with it and interact with it, to see if you liked it or not. And because they were actual salesmen, they weren't just dumbass high school and college kids working at a toy store. You know what I mean? They're high as a kite all the time. These people were. It was the 70s, so they're probably high as a kite all the time. They're jacked up on cocaine, but they wore like suits to work. Like the toy store, it's like I think they wore like dress clothes, like a tie, and they were salesmen. They actually were. They'd give you a sales pitch, like, hey kids, check this out, and you'd get a bunch of kids to come over to the counter, and they'd show some toy, and kind of demo it for everybody, and the parents would like, "I'll take one of those." Sorry, I don't know why I'm making the parent drunk, but so anyways, yeah, that's what they used to do back in the day. They haven't done that for years. I mean, that's such a old school thing. I don't know if anybody remembers buying toys back in the 70s and maybe like the very early 80s. They do that. I know KB used to do. I don't know, talk about the Transformers, the jump starters. KB guy, he would at least open the stuff out of the package and put it at the counter so you could play with it. But yeah, so I've always thought this for the longest time. I could have sworn this was a Battlestar Galactica licensed product, but no, it was the Gore helmet, Space Star Force. I still wanted it. I never got it. I told my dad about it. He didn't buy it. So in that regard, I lost. I didn't get my way. But there's probably more other Battlestar Galactica stuff that I can talk about. But for the most part, and I don't. I would like to have a. They did one hobby shop down in Rochester. Sorry, in the Utica area down there on Van Dyke. Me and my one buddy were there a couple of times, and he goes pretty frequently. They did reissue. I think they reissued the Viper and the Raider. I know they did during the when they had the new show, the remake that was on Sci-Fi or whatever it was on back in like the early to mid 2000s. But and they redid these kits, but they also reissued them. I think just a few years ago too, if I'm not mistaken. I'd like to get the kits. You know, I'd like to actually paint them for real, not with a toothpick, but actually paint them for real. I don't have an airbrush or anything, so I probably couldn't do a great job, but I could probably do some nice dry brushing on the details to bring those details out. But I would like to have those. That's something that seems to be feasible. So I gotta shop around sometimes, see if I can find them. I say that, I'll find them, I'll order them, I'll buy them, and they'll sit in their box and I'll never build them. But I like the romance. I like the notion that I might do that sometime. But yeah, so there's that. Like I said, there's probably other things I'm forgetting here. I'm not going to show. I mean, I have to track down some parts of the show to show you stuff. I mean, if you've made it this far in the video, you probably know what Battlestar Galactica is, and you probably know what a lot of this stuff is. So there's no real reason to do that. Okay, so I guess my final closing thoughts here as we're coming into almost an hour, and I'll try not to go on a rant too long with this final closing, but regarding the remake, the one that had the girl played Bo-Katan playing the Starbuck, you know, they changed like Boomer to a girl, and they changed, you know, all that stuff. It was okay. I think when it first came out, I kind of liked it, and then I kind of just like, eh. I think it was way too new. And the Cylons were horrendous. The Cylon ships were retarded looking. The Cylons were retarded looking. It was all... I didn't like any of the look of the show. I mean, the Viper was kind of cool, but apparently that Viper was done by, I can't remember, but it was a different person that designed the ships of the Cylons. But I thought that all the design production on it was just garbage. It was too, like, super in your face. I mean, the first show was supposed to be serious, but it came off campy, and I liked that. You know, I just liked the whole kitschy, cheesy 70s, you know, 70s Hollywood, California-esque, you know, the very Battle of the Network Stars version of those shows. That's why I like Buck Rogers so much. It's just like those shows really hit me at a certain time, and I like everything about them of that time. Like I said, oh, yeah, I want to mention real quick. Let me show it real quick here. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to like the Cylons. Let's just show the thing. That's what I'm talking about. That weird kind of lens flare effect where they would on shiny things, where you get this. You'd see it like magazine ads and stuff like that, or like album covers and everything. Like they show like Kiss had a bunch of like I think there were some photographs of Kiss in a Kiss like poster book that had like, because they had like shiny silver on their costumes, it would have this effect. But I loved that, and that seemed to be a very 70s thing. It doesn't seem to be, you know, a new thing. So, yeah, I love the 70s-ness of it. I don't want CG. I want these dudes in these really bulky, hard to get into costumes walking around at you know, at snail's crawl. You could just run away from one of these dudes. They can't hit anything, and they can't run after you. At least a stormtrooper could run. These guys aren't going anywhere. If you watch that one episode where the one sticks his hand into a microwave and hands on the floor, it's like they had to cut to the scene because the guy in the costume couldn't even get up off the kitchen floor when they're filming it. Stand back, everybody, I'm going to attempt to stand. It's just hilarious. But yeah, like I said, still to this day, when I hear their voices and I see that gleam, that shine there, and I see that red eye going back and forth, it gives me chills. Gives me absolute goosebumps. It takes me right back to the late 70s and right back to when stuff was hot, you know, was brand new. And if anything else in the show, I mean, Dirk Benedict, he was in the A-Team and whatnot, you know, and all that stuff. If anything in the show brings me back, it's when you hear that, or also when you hear the, you know, the big chime, the ching, you know, in the opening credits. That part, when you hear that stuff in the credits, that stuff takes me back. And the new show has none of that. So I mean, the new show, everybody's gonna say, "Oh, it's so much better, so much better written." And come on, now you're starting with the stupid older brothers. It's a model kit. It's not a toy. That was the drunk parent. I can't remember. But anyways, yeah. So on that note, I'm gonna let you go here. I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Again, tomorrow's Friday. For me, it's Friday. For you, I don't know what day this is posting on. This is what I say. This was 43 or something like that. It's probably gonna post on a Wednesday or a Thursday. I can't remember. But anyways, a Wednesday. But yeah. So I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Actually, I don't know if I am going to do something tomorrow because I think I had to go run my son around this morning, so I got very little work done. And he's coming over dark 30 tomorrow, and after I post my my webcomics and stuff, and I post another one of these videos, I'm not going to get anything done tomorrow. I can see it happening, so hopefully I can play catch up on the weekend before Monday because I got a whole new pile of shit to do. So all right, I will let you go, and you can tune in, but remember what I want you to do: subscribe. Yeah, so subscribe if you can. And I just hit an hour, so all right, I'm gonna let you go. Bye bye.